back, friends. I'm Sue Sabella, your Great Minds teacher, and I'm so excited to continue to learn and grow with you. Let's see what we need for today. Today we'll need Skytree, Assessment 29, the focusing question task, your journal, and a pencil. Pause here to gather what you need, and then just hit play when you're ready to continue. How does Skytree show the cycle of seasons? What do you already know about the word cycle? You've probably heard that word before, and especially if you've conducted or did a scientific investigation. What I'd like you to do is to take out your journal and jot down the word cycle and what you think it means. You could also draw a picture if you're not sure of the definition, but you have a picture in your mind of what cycle might look like. Draw that in your journal or jot the definition. Pause here to do that work and then just hit play when you're ready to continue. Today, we're going to investigate the meaning of the word cycle and also how that word cycle is connected to the message, the important message in Skytree. As we dig back into Skytree together, we'll want to keep this question in mind. What is the important message in this text? We'll be exploring the first section of the text and the last section of the text to help us think about the important message. Let's take a look at the first 2 pages of Skytree. Before I read the text out loud, look closely at the painting. What do you see? What does the tree look like? Tell your learning partner, or tell me. Now listen closely to the words or follow along in your own book. Once a tree stood alone on a hill by the river. Through the long days, its leaves fluttered in the soft summer breeze. Pause here to read these words again to yourself and also think about what's happening at the beginning of this story. Just hit play when you're ready to continue. Now let's take a close look at the last 4 pages of Skytree. Look closely at the tree. What does it look like at the end of the story? Now listen to the words from the story. You can also follow along in your book. The old snapper crawled out of the mud to lay her eggs on the warm hillside. The tree's leaves uncurled in the spring sunlight, and the birds returned to build nests for their young. How is the beginning of the book similar to the end? What things are the same? Pause here to do some powerful thinking, and then just hit play when you're ready to continue to the last section of the book. The tree stood on the hill by the river. Once again, its leaves fluttered in the soft summer breeze. How are these words similar to the beginning of the story? What are you hearing that's the same? I'm going to put both pages side by side. Pause to help you think about this question. How is the beginning of the book similar to the end of the book? Just hit play when you're ready to continue. You just did some very powerful thinking about the similarities between the beginning of Skytree and the end of sky tree. By thinking about those similarities, that can start to give you an idea about the important message in this text. What is this text trying to teach you? What are you learning by thinking closely about the beginning of the text and the end of this text? Pause here to jot down your thinking in your journal, and you might think and jot for a while. Just hit play when you're ready to continue. In order to understand the important message in Skytree, it is very important to understand what the word cycle means and to be able to picture what a cycle is in your mind. We're going to investigate the word cycle and take a look at the definition of the word cycle. So at this time, I'd like you to pause the video so you can grab your journal and your pencil, and then just hit play when you're ready to continue. When you thought about the word cycle and did some jotting in your journal, you may have drawn a picture, or you may have written down some words that you were using to help you define or tell others what you think the word cycle means. We're going to take a look at the definition of the word cycle, and we're going to take that definition and put it into our own words. The definition for cycle is a series of events that repeat. Please write this definition in your journal. Pause here to do that, and then just hit play when you're ready to continue. A cycle is a series of events that repeat. This definition is not the easiest definition, so I really have to think about what it means. An event is when something happens. We know that when we think about the elements of a story. A series means that there's more than one event. And repeating means that it happens again. So if I close my eyes and I picture a series of events that repeat, I'm picturing things that happen and then they happen again. That's what a cycle is. It's a series of events, so it's more than one event that repeats itself, which means it happens again. Now that we understand what the word cycle means, I want you to think about this important question. And remember, you're in charge. You can pause to think, or you can pause to talk about this with a learning partner. Ready? Here's the question. How does the word cycle connect to Skytree? Pause here to do some thinking or some chatting, and just hit play when you're ready to continue. It's definitely time for a stretch break. Take a break and then just hit play when you're ready to continue. Now that you've had a chance to look at the similarities in Skytree and also to think about the word cycle and what it means, you're ready to answer the focusing question. How does Skytree show the cycle of seasons? Pause here to grab assessment 29, which is the focusing question task 4, and your pencil. And then just hit play so we can review the directions together. The directions tell us to write an informative paragraph with change to answer the focusing question. That question is, how does Skytree show the cycle of seasons? Include the following in the paragraph response: a topic statement, at least 3 sentences with evidence, the words first, then, and finally, and a conclusion. Today, we'll be completing step 1, which is recording evidence on the evidence organizer, and step 2, writing your informative paragraph with change. As we use the evidence organizer to gather our information for our informative paragraph, it's very important to keep the focusing question in mind. So I place that at the top of my organizer. And that's a strategy that you can use too. Jot down the question at the top, and it keeps you focused on what you're gathering. The focusing question is, how does Skytree show the cycle of seasons? So as you're rereading Skytree to build or gather evidence for your informative paragraph, keep this very important question in mind. We are going to work on the first 2 columns together, and then you'll complete the rest on your own with your own copy of Skytree. Ready? Let's go. Before I even begin reading the book, I remind myself of the question, how does Skytree show the cycle of seasons? So as I'm reading, I have a very specific purpose in mind. I need to focus on the cycle of the seasons and how this book shows or illustrates those cycles. So I need to pay attention closely to the words as I read, but I also need to remember to look at those paintings, the illustrations. How is this book showing me the cycle of the seasons? The first page says, once a tree stood alone on a hill by the river. Through the long days, its leaves fluttered in the soft summer breeze. I hear evidence that I can include in my informative paragraph. I heard that leaves flutter and that there's also a soft breeze. I made sure to put this in the first column because this is the beginning of the story. And also on this page, I saw the word summer. I use bulleted notes and not full sentences because this is just an organizer. I'm not writing my whole paragraph here. As I continued to read Skytree, I hear the word autumn, so I know I am gathering some evidence here to show the cycle of seasons during autumn. I gathered evidence of change, that leaves turn color, and also leaves fall. You've got this. It's your turn to continue with the evidence organizer. Be sure to look for those keywords, winter, spring, and summer. And also remember, you're just gathering evidence about the cycle of seasons in Skytree. Stay focused on that question. You'll pause here to work, and then you'll just hit play when you're ready to continue. Remember, take as much time as you need. Pause here to review your evidence organizer and compare it to this evidence organizer. Are you seeing things that are similar in each column? Is there something that you'd like to borrow and add to your columns? Review this with a learning partner or on your own, and then just hit play when you're ready to continue. Before you write your informative paragraph, it's always a good idea to rehearse out loud using your evidence organizer. Remember to start with a topic statement. Remember to use the signal words or the linking words. And then remember to add a conclusion. Once you've rehearsed a couple times, you'll be ready for the final task. So pause here to practice out loud and then just hit play when you're ready to continue. Now it's time for you to write your informative paragraph. You have all the evidence that you need. You'll be writing your informative paragraph in your journal, and then you probably saw the check mark in the corner. That means that your teacher will take this opportunity to check in with you to see how you're doing with your writing and also how you're doing with gathering evidence. You've got this. Just pause here to work and then hit play when you're ready to continue. Thanks to your careful reading and your powerful thinking, you have a deeper understanding about cycles and the cycle of seasons in Skytree. Share that knowledge with others, and I will see you again very soon.